Before we let you go, Josh, I do want to ask you about another SEC team because I was intrigued by something you said. You're talking about Georgia, and that if their offensive line went back to being a plus unit, that you're talking about a team that could win the national title. And I think it's interesting with Georgia because they were so stacked with talent. Ari and I always talk about how kind of it feels like NIL has killed the super team era, and you may not see a team as talented as 21 or 22 Georgia again. But they always dominated on both lines of scrimmage. And that's been my biggest question is, are they going to have the aliens on the offensive line and also on the interior defensive line to get back to where they want to be?
I think it is, like you said, the biggest or most important pivot unit in the SEC. If Georgia is A- or better on the offensive line, if they're back to their old ways on the offensive line, number one, they'll probably be in Atlanta because I trust the rest of the team. I trust that they will not lose for the same reasons 2 years in a row. I was told by someone on that staff, the wide receiver room here may be the alpha position group on this team. I don't know that we've ever said that about a Georgia team, but they didn't say it as if to say, dude, our offensive line's soft. They actually believe, like, if Juan Gaston, who is a true freshman battling for a starting guard spot, if he grabs that job, and I think he will, they feel good about that. But yet, the feedback that I've gotten from their staff, that they'll listen to the stuff I say about them. And the fan base, they think you're a hater. Coaching staff kind of echoes the sentiment. Like the coaching staff, you're kind of right. Like that's how we feel internally. Now we're confident and we think we got dogs, no pun intended. We think we can get after it. But, last year we thought some things that didn't end up coming to fruition. But I just think that offensive line is the trigger mechanism for everything else on that team. And that means if it's good, that means you've probably got the answer to try and neutralize when Kiffin comes in your backyard, when DeBoer comes in your backyard, when Sark comes in your backyard, when you go play Napier neutral site. That's what it all comes down to.
And Ari and I were at Ole Miss, Georgia last year, and I'm standing on the field watching that unfold.
Josh, you were there too, weren't you?
No, I was somewhere else. I can't remember.
There was another huge, LSU Alabama was the same day. And so it was shocking watching Georgia get beat up front by that Ole Miss defensive line, which was really good, by the way. It wasn't, it's not a shameful thing. Like that was a great group, but you just weren't used to seeing it because you'd seen Georgia just push everybody around for so long. But I think you're right. If they can't get back to Juan Gaston, by the way, the freshman offensive lineman you mentioned, 6'7", 360 pounds.
Yeah, it's not a normal true freshman. That's like some of these plays.
Proctor.
People get like drunk on preview magazine culture. They think a true freshman starter is a true freshman starter no matter where. Replacing a starter is replacing a starter no matter where. Dude, you go watch Texas or Georgia or Ohio State or Alabama practice. I went and watched Oregon practice this past weekend. No, just because you don't know those kids' names does not mean the same thing as not knowing a kid's name at Maryland. I promise you, those are freak shows that just even in the portal era, they've got them waiting in the wing. Doesn't guarantee they're going to win anything like 11 games, but they got them.
Andy,
I went out to Oregon Penei Sewell's freshman year, and I think he'd played in a couple games at that point, and Mario Cristobal sees me before practice starts. He's like, "You're going to want to take a look at this freshman." I'm down there watching it. I'm like, "Oh my God, he was in high school last year? How's that even possible?"
Andy, I've waited 48 minutes and 47 seconds to ambush you. But I've got, I think, I've got a friend, I've got a comrade in my corner about this topic of conversation that I haven't had on the show in a long time. I think Josh and I were very
ganged up on,
very outwardly against the expansion of the playoff at the beginning of this. And Andy has railroaded me with guests for the beginning of time. I'm an idiot.
I'm the Game of Thrones gift right now with the whole army coming at him. I'm like, oh, let's go.
But I'm actually going to be nice, and I'm not going to sick him on you. I think I know where Josh stands, or at least stood on the 12-team expansion. What I wanted to know from you, Josh, is after experiencing it for a year, were there any things that you felt like we were wrong about 3 years ago when they announced this change? And have you come around to liking it at all, or would you still put it back at 4 if you could?
I wouldn't put it back at 4 if I could now, because the genie's out of the bottle. Like if I could go back in time where you had never experienced expansion, okay. That's like, would I try to save bowl season? But you can't save bowl season now because like the train's already left the station. So I wouldn't. I wish that I could go back and wipe everyone's memory clean, and then I would just do it a different way. I think they did the right thing by changing the seeding, but now you're in the whole Overton window thing of, someone like me who didn't want to expand to 12. Well, now you're fighting the battle of, oh, look, another leaked story about going to 24 teams or 2018, which is garbage. And I think most of us saw through that. But like, it's all of a sudden, hey, maybe stay at 12. Yeah, that's a win. Like they've got me. 12 is a win now. I'm fine with 12.
Yeah.
Welcome to the resistance. No.
Yeah.
I always said there was a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And I always thought the sweet spot was 16, but having seen 12, I think 12 is probably the sweet spot. So I would prefer if they would just keep arguing and leave it the way it is.
There's one thing that I think I'm guilty, or at least was an oversight on my part 2 or 3 years ago when I was writing columns screaming at the top of my lungs. It's that the expansion of 12 at least made like Cam Scadaboo's story matter. It made certain things that we might have overlooked or the stage wouldn't have existed for players to have moments that they wouldn't have had. And I think that, all three of us here, even though it might seem, at least from view of me, that I think that the more inclusion of those moments are probably good for the sport, good for our audience, good for the general fan. And Andy and I just have a different viewpoint on what it means for the regular season.
I also think the change in the sport might actually make it right, even if it was more wrong before, where there are more teams that feel capable of going through that tournament, winning a national title now than there were 4 years ago.
4 years ago, when only 5 teams could win it, it was stupid to go to 12. But
can I float a theory for you?
Yeah, sure.
Let's say we never expanded the playoff. It was still 4 teams. Let's say that even the portal and NIL don't come along as we've known them. Let's say I do nothing more than remove Nick Saban from Alabama. How different would the top of the field look? Like Georgia would still be pretty dominant. Like I'm not saying that we would have rid ourselves of certain programs having somewhat of a death grip. I just think it would have opened the window if you changed nothing other than Saban's gone from Alabama.
Would we view Urban Meyer as the greatest coach of all time in that case?
No. I mean, let Saban be at Alabama, but he retires in like 2018 or something like that.
Oh,
so Urban's gone. But I'm saying about the time everything started to change, and then you saw the manifestation, or so we allege, of those changes, that's the time Saban retires. And you could even argue Saban retired because of it. But moot point.
Oh, 100%.
Go back to like 2019, 2020, whatever. Let's just say COVID turns him off and he leaves. So starting in 2021 and beyond, it's a Saban-less college football world. Let's say none of the other changes happen. You don't expand the playoff. There's no portal. There's no NIL. How much more relatively open do you think the competitive window would have been at the top? Because I think
Georgia remains as dominant as they would have been. They don't have their bottoms of their recruiting classes getting siphoned off. Ohio State doesn't have the bottom of its recruiting classes getting siphoned off. Michigan's probably still coming with Harbaugh.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm trying to think of who else benefits from that. I think Dabo probably benefits from that some. But would new blood, like would Lane Kiffin be able to get Ole Miss into the mix? That's the question.